Samuel Slater was born on June 9th, 1768 in Belper, Derbyshire, England. His parents were William Slater and Elizabeth Slater. Samuel's father died when he was only 14. This is when he began his apprenticeship with Jetta Strutt. Slater was interested in taking the cotton manufacturing industry further. Slater then secretly immigrated to America, leaving England in September 1789. This was a problem, as the British government did not want their textile manufacturing waste to leave the country. Also, Slater did not tell anyone about his departure and left wearing a disguise. He reached New York later that year, and in April 1790, he joined Almy and Brown in Providence, Rhode Island, to make cotton machinery. They created a water-powered spinning frame of 24 spindles, which created cotton yarn. It went into operation in 1791. This machine was a great improvement, as it solved America's problem of skilled labor for making finished goods. With this machine, Slater could harness cheap, unskilled labor, mainly women and children. This meant that more goods could be made while using new technologies. We can infer that Samuel's goal was to make better yarn than England did. In one of his famous quotes, he states, "If I do not make as good of yarn as they do in England, I will have nothing for my services, but will throw the whole of what I have attempted over the bridge." In 1791, Slater was married to Hannah Wilkinson. 2 years later, Slater and his partners formed their own company and created a factory in Pawtucket. This was known as the Slater Mill. John H. Chaffee, a part of the National Park Service, stated in a brochure that in 1790, American craftsmen built the first machines that successfully used water power to spin cotton. America's first factory, Slater Mill, was built on the banks of the Blackstone River. Here, industrial America was born. This illustrated the importance of the Slater Mill and its location. Now, before we go into more depth about Slater, let's rewind back to the 1700s. Richard Arkwright was an inventor and entrepreneur in the early Industrial Revolution. He died after Slater's story was just beginning, however. We cannot forget about his work, as he was one of the first to develop these new technologies. James Meigh, an editor-in-chief at Popular Mechanics, made a statement about Arkwright, stating, "Prior to the Industrial Revolution, a working person would be lucky to have one or two shirts. To make fabric, there are spinners whose whole lives were running these spinning wheels and turning cotton or wool into threads, which could then be woven on looms to make fabric to make something like a shirt." What Arkwright did was he said there's gotta be some way to speed this process up. Arkwright was a key part in this revolution, as he was a piece of the great era being built up. Let's talk about Slater again. Later, he created his own company, appropriately titled Samuel Slater and Company. He soon opened yarn spinning plants in Smithfield, Rhode Island, which is now known as Slatersville. Another plant was also created in East Webster, Massachusetts. He also created cotton mills in Jewett City, Connecticut, and also Muskegon Falls in New Hampshire. This stimulated the manufacturing along the Merrimack River. Sadly, Slater's era of triumph ended on April 1st, 1835, when he died in Webster, Massachusetts. Slater will always be known as the father of the American Industrial Revolution and the person who sparked better manufacturing ways in the United States.